Hey guys, John with Scottsdale Living. We've got a new podcast today, and I'm here with a really good friend of mine, Ann Bishop with Daily Dose Travel. So we're going to talk about travel today, which is probably one of my favorite topics in the world. And just want to remind you, this podcast is brought to you by feedspot.com. So check out feedspot.com for all your podcasting needs. But let's get into it. Ann, you travel all the time. I love following your adventures on social media. And you've kind of pivoted into Daily Dose. Is that a newer company?
So it's Daily Travel Dose, just to make sure that it's, the correct name of the company. But I've been doing this for 5 years. I have my own LLC as a travel agency. But ever since I, was a teenager, I've been traveling, and my teenage years are now way behind me. So I have a lot of travel experience. And it's just my passion. So,
sure, totally. Yeah. So hard question right off the bat, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with the advance of like Expedia and Kayak and all that stuff, I think a lot of people in their mind wonder what a travel agent does now. But I mean, I've used travel agents, so I understand it. Mm-hmm. But can you kind of elaborate for us what a travel agent will step up to the plate for you?
Yes. So that's a very great question. And I get it all the time.
Sure.
Even like last week, I met someone and they were like, what's a travel agent? Like,
right.
what is that even? Right. And so, and I'm the first one to say, you don't need to use a travel agent at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't need to call me and ask me to help you. All I can say is that if you do use a travel agent, for something like that's more like a special vacation or, a larger budget vacation, you don't want to book that on Expedia because Expedia doesn't know it's your wedding anniversary.
Right, totally.
And if I'm getting involved, I have connections at resorts, at hotels, and I will do anything to make clients' vacations more special.
Totally.
And I can tell you a whole story, and we don't have time for this right now. But when we meet in the bar or something, I can tell you. But I've literally rescued people's vacations just because of connections that I had with a pilot at United.
Sure.
Expedia cannot give that to you, right? But feel free. You can book a plane ticket or a all-inclusive resort in Mexico with Expedia. It's fine with me. Like, I don't really, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you want extra special, value and expertise and service, then I think a travel agent is the way to go.
Well, plus, and you just know, right, with your network, like, I mean, if you're booking a flight to Dallas, whatever, go online and book a flight to Dallas, right?
Correct.
But I mean, if you want to put together something amazing, I mean, from your travels, plus I'm sure you tied into a network of other people. So, I mean, you're on Expedia, you just see a list of hotels, right?
Yep.
And I can tell you how many times I've done this. I'll book something that looks really cool, and then I get there and it's like in the wrong part of town, or it's like, it's why am I here?
Yep. No, it's happened to me. I years ago, I booked an all-inclusive in Mexico in Puerto Vallarta.
Sure.
And it was on Expedia.
Yeah.
And I do remember getting there, and I went into the room and I said, I'm not staying here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just awful. Things were broken, and it was just like really not how it was portrayed on Expedia. And guess what? Then if you're not booking with a travel agent, you're on your own. Right. I spent a whole day trying to find another resort, taking a taxi to another place, to then checking the rooms to make sure it was okay.
Not only that, you're probably paying twice too, right?
Exactly. And then we had to go through Expedia to try to get a refund. And, it just became, a lost vacation day.
Sure.
And the whole experience is just kind of a downer, because, everyone works very hard.
Right.
And then you have your hard-earned money. You just want to take, a week vacation and just relax.
And not think about it. That's the key, right?
About it. And so if something like this happens, with a travel agent, then you would just pick up the phone or send an email and I'll deal with it.
Yeah, totally. Love it.
So, it's just extra service.
Yeah, 100%. And so, I mean, I don't know if you want to address this question, but how does a travel agent get paid?
Yes.
I mean, do we pay you directly, or how's that happen?
No. So there's two ways that I get paid, right? I can charge fees, planning fees. Those are directly coming to myself.
Right.
And then there is no other fee. If I'm not charging a fee for a particular type of vacation, like a cruise, I would never charge a fee to anyone. The hotels, the resorts, the tour operators I work with, they pay the commission to me, just like with real estate.
Sure,
right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I keep saying that because my husband's also a real estate agent. How similar this is, because you can also work very hard on a trip.
Right.
And if the if the client doesn't travel or you don't close, you don't get any money and you
right?
work for free, right? Totally. And so it's the same thing. And so that's the nice thing. You really don't have to pay any extra because the tour operators, the hotels, car rental companies, they will pay commission. And the commission can really vary, right? It could be 2% to 12%. I mean, it all depends on what it is. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the last time I used a travel agent, and it was before knowing you, so unfortunately it wasn't you, but we traveled to somewhere in the Caribbean, my wife, and we got married, right? So if we had not, we took a cruise and we used a travel agent and she handled, everything in port for us. And if we hadn't done that, we never would have been able to do it. Right. You know what I mean? It was they took us to a beach, they got the hair done, all that kind of stuff.
All the excursions, the pre and post hotel, all those things.
Yeah, totally. Yes. So it would made it so easy rather than us having to stress out about it, I love that part.
And also the thing is, like, I know a lot of people are very busy.
Right.
I'm actually one of them.
Just hand it off, right?
Just hand it off because time is money.
Yeah.
Right. And if you want, I know that I have a lot of friends who love planning their own travel.
Yeah.
Just fine, right? They have the time. That's what they love to do.
Sure.
If you have the time to do it and you love this type of thing, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're someone, I also know people, executives or, people with very busy lives, busy jobs, busy, life at home with kids. You don't want to spend a couple of hours a day trying to research because you have to do your research.
Oh, yeah, totally.
If it's, as you said, if it's a flight to Dallas, it's very straightforward. I cannot add any value to that because, there's nothing I can really do for you in terms of extra value. You can just book that on your own. But if it's something a lot more, complicated, you don't want to spend, your hours of your valuable time to look on the internet and then maybe not even be sure what you're getting.
Yeah, 100%. You never know till you show up, right?
Yeah. And the other thing that also, that I take care of for people is travel insurance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a lot of times people are like, I don't need it. I was one of those people.
Yeah. You ended up needing it at some point.
No.
Right?
So the funny thing is I used to also many years ago be a tour director. So I took people from the Netherlands and Belgium to all across the US and Canada.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like the crazy lady, on the bus, on the tour bus, with the microphone.
Holding the thing up in the air.
Yes,
the whole deal.
Yeah. And I need it because I'm so short, right? I'm like, I'm here, follow me. And let me tell you, people lose their wallets in New York City. I've been in the hospital in New York City, in the Grand Canyon. I've been at the hospital. Things just happen, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, we don't want to think about it and we don't want to call it out, but I think travel insurance, even when I go home, because I'm originally from Belgium, when I go home to visit my mom and staying at my mom's house, we always buy travel insurance, just in case, especially now with all of the, the mess that we've seen with the, the flights and airlines. Right? Anything happens.
So it is no fun to fly anymore.
No.
It's
no more fun to fly.
Such a pain in the rear. And it used to be kind of exciting. I mean, it was part of the trip. It's like, oh, we're going to the airport, have a drink, hang out.
Yeah.
And now it's just a mess. Oh my gosh.
It's a mess. I agree with you. That's like, I think I always say, I love being somewhere else.
Sure.
I don't necessarily like the traveling part of it, like getting there or coming back, right? Yep. Because it's a stressful thing. But then now also, I think a lot of the airlines are changing their
Delta
their
just
policies.
Did it.
Yes,
Yeah,
Delta was, that recently just happened.
Boy, they got a lot of kickback on that too. I was mad. It changed my whole thing.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, so here's the thing. I think in 2024 going forward, like people are not really going to be loyal to an airline anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to be so beneficial unless you're
a heavy traveler.
Exactly. If you're really doing a lot of corporate
you're
travel.
You're a million-mile guy.
And you're spending a lot of money on Delta or on any other airline.
Sure.
But even the lounges are, packed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
funny. We were just coming back from Vietnam, actually. And we were at an American lounge. And I didn't realize this, but American has 2 different lounges now. So they've got like kind of an everyday man. Well, it wasn't One World
Amex,
Lounge or something.
Yeah.
So they had like the Admirals Club and then the One World Lounge. And I mean, I had access to the top one for some reason, but I bought tickets for my boys who were traveling with me, and they had access to the base one, and it was okay. But boy, what a difference, right? And I mean, like one was amazing, and one was like 7-Eleven.
Yes,
it was kind of crazy.
7-Eleven drinks.
So I mean, we've covered some of the basics and everything, but let's talk about places, right? So going into 2024, I know you do a lot of stuff like in French Polynesia and Hawaii and all that, but what would you say is the most bang for your buck going into travel in like 2024? Meaning, like, what place can you go and just have an off-the-wall experience that's not crazy expensive?
Colombia.
Okay, I love it.
Yes. So I'm in love with Colombia. Okay. My husband is Colombian, right? And so my husband's family is there, and I now put together customized travel to Colombia. Literally, really, like I'm now working with clients from Belgium, and they wanted to do a 3-week tour of Colombia, and they wrote a whole entire list of this is what I want to do. And then, sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't make sense, or sometimes they read something in a guidebook and it's really not worth, getting on a plane and coming back for 3,
biggest pile of cat or whatever.
So, I think Colombia, for your US dollar, you get a lot.
Sure.
And it's beautiful. It has so many different types of areas. Like you can go to the beach, you can go to the mountains, you can go to the coffee region. I mean, it's a
so
it's an amazing destination.
I was in Panama not too long ago, and everybody in Panama was talking about Colombia and how great it was. So I've been researching because I definitely want to go. So I'm going to reach out to you and talk to you about that.
Yes.
But the funny thing is, I think a lot of people have a stigmatism about Colombia and they're scared of it. But from everything I've seen and the people I've talked to, it's incredibly safe. It's like a great place to go.
I mean, first of all, you never know what's going to happen anywhere in the world. I think, the recent
from Detroit,
news,
it doesn't get much
worse.
I
mean, you just never know what's going to happen anywhere, right? And I think you're right. I mean, there's the stigma still about Colombia, but that's actually the good thing because
it keeps people from coming, right?
There's the tourism, like if you take France, for instance, or Italy, it's overrun with tourists. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love France. I love Italy, and it's definitely worth a visit. But it's nice going to a place where it's not overrun by tourism yet, right? And you can really get, I mean, you take money out of the ATM in Colombia and you're like, oh, I'm a millionaire.
I know, right?
I mean, it doesn't last long because, you also need to spend a lot of money on, or pesos, I should say. But I mean, it's just, it's nice. You can stay in very nice resorts, eco lodges, luxury resorts that here, even in Scottsdale, you would pay $1,000 a night for, right? And so I think you need to just be careful anywhere you go.
Yeah, of course. Be aware.
Keep your mind, like what's going on around you. And
what are some tips on that, right? So, I mean, like I do the fanny pack thing. I feel it's a lot better than having my wallet in my pocket. But I mean, what other tips do you have for people when they're traveling abroad to kind of stay safe?
Yes. I mean, so first of all, I think if you're going somewhere, learn the language a little bit. I used to travel a lot by myself. I still I went to Honolulu by myself. But anyway, like I've traveled a lot by myself. I've been to Mexico by myself. I've been to, the rest of South America by myself. Knowing a little bit of the language is probably a good thing, right? Because then you just kind of
which isn't too bad when it's Spanish, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what the Romance languages aren't too bad. But, you get into Vietnam or China or something.
That's usually a little bit harder. Yeah. But, I mean, so just kind of knowing a little bit of the language helps because then you can kind of figure out what people around you are talking about.
Sure.
Not taking any, big time jewelry.
Yeah.
Don't
wear the Rolex.
Yeah. I mean, because I was in Rio de Janeiro with a friend and a lot of people were saying, oh, Rio de Janeiro, going to beach, not safe. You have to be careful. So what we did is we just took a little plastic bag from the supermarket and we put, a little bit of money in there and our sunscreen and, maybe a drink. And that's what we took. A little bit further down on the beach, I saw some guys with a laptop and a bag,
so it's like a Target.
And I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. So leave your valuables behind. I mean, I think that's very standard, but I think people still, want to, wear their jewelry. And I tend to not do that. Don't wear clothes that, show that maybe you're an affluent American.
The Hugo Boss at home or whatever.
Don't like the, Gucci or whatever, just wear a plain white t-shirt, some shorts, just blend in, right?
I think makes sense.
I think that's just, And then, make sure you have copies of all of your valuable documents.
So that's a huge one, right? You should always, I'll load them up on my phone and put them on my email as well, just so, I've totally got that.
Yeah. Make sure that somebody else, who's back in the US has copies of everything where you're going and everything. I mean,
just common sense stuff, right?
Common sense. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I think pickpockets are still a huge thing in a lot of places.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so easy to avoid that. Just don't put the stuff in your pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't take a lot of things, just in general. And there's things that you can buy. I don't even want to say, I don't want to put in a plug for Amazon, but Amazon has a lot of things that you can buy, maybe put valuables or some money
like stuff like on the necklaces now underneath your shirt or whatever.
But just don't take a lot of things, I think, and don't flash it around, And you know what? The other thing is, of course, if you have the budget for it, go with a private guide.
Yeah, right? Totally. Makes a huge difference, right?
Depends on where you're going. And I've traveled so much in my life, and I think I've only felt maybe a little unsafe, once,
Totally.
Use
it's funny because probably not the best way to do it, but I always end up wherever we travel to is finding, somebody a local, whether it's a taxi guy or whatever, and we'll end up just hiring him.
Yeah.
He'll take us a day excursion and go here, and they just know because they live there.
Yeah.
So, they'll give us the shortcuts and do everything else,
See,
so
now you're giving me a tip. I like it.
No, it's well, and so many places have like Uber now too, So you can, that guy is looking to make a living and you throw them a couple $100 and you got your own tour guide for the good day.
That's very true.
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of Colombia, let's switch over to Europe, right? Where's your favorite place to travel to in Europe right now that you think is maybe like kind of a little bit of a hidden secret? I think most of Europe's been discovered, but is there a hidden secret that you think people haven't thought about?
Yeah. So what is actually on my own list in Europe is a couple of things. Is Croatia for the beaches.
Yeah, I've heard that's amazing,
I think
right?
maybe you've been there. I don't know.
I have not been to Croatia.
So, Croatia's beaches are amazing, So getting away from the Western European area, more going into Eastern Europe, I think is a good idea. And then in Portugal.
Oh, yeah. Portugal is amazing.
Not Portugal, Lisbon area.
The little north. What's the city that's a little north is really cool?
I can't think of it now either. Porto.
Porto, yeah.
Yeah, Porto. Yeah. There's a lot of...
So supposedly that beach area of Portugal is really cool too.
Yes.
Like where it touches, what's that, the Sun Coast?
And so here's the thing. I think a lot of people are always focused on, I want to go to Paris. I want to go to Florence. Go to the smaller towns and cities in those countries, right?
Yeah.
So, to get away from the
tourism.
Big tourism areas and get a real feel. And also I think a lot of, in the US in particular, right? Because it's a big trip.
Yeah.
They want to see a lot in a short...
Pack it in, right?
Yeah. Pack it in a short period of time, just maybe rent, a house for a week in a smaller town and get the real feel for what it's like to be there and immerse yourself, meet up with the locals, do a cooking class like that. Love that. I personally like that kind of travel.
Well, it's so funny because I used to be that traveler that wanted to pack it all in, right? So now we kind of switched that up where I'd rather be exactly what you said. I'm still going to hit a couple really touristy things. Yeah. Because if it's a huge tourist attraction, there's a reason. You know what I mean? So it might be a pain in the butt. You might have to wait in line or whatever, but just don't try to do 20. Do 2 and then relax in the country, right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's so true. There is always, I love going to Paris.
Yeah.
We go to Paris.
Does everybody else in the world.
We go to Paris at least for one day because when we go to Belgium, we can just hop on the train. It's super easy.
And the train in Europe is fantastic, by the way. It's so cool. I love that.
Oh, yes. It's very easy. Yep. Even like the TGV in France, we just took it last year, from Biarritz all the way to Paris for a couple of hours. And it was so nice. It was nicer than being on a plane.
Totally. And see, that's something as a travel agent that you can share with people, right? Because literally you could go to Europe and pack yourself in a Ryanair for $40 and it's going to be a disaster, horrible flight. Yes. Or you can sit in comfort and cruise through the country on a beautiful train.
And it's better for the environment too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the whole thing.
There you go.
I love it. So, okay, let's flip back over to talk to us about like French Polynesia and that whole area of the world, Australia, New Zealand.
Yes.
That's exotic. That's so cool.
And because it's funny, I get that question all the time. They're like, you're from Europe. Like, why don't you just really focus and specialize on Europe? And I get it. But I also want to be myself super passionate about what I work on, right? And when I grew up and I was a teenager, there was this advertisement on TV and I saw this whole French Polynesia Tahiti thing and I went, this is so unlike Belgium because we have more gray skies and more rain. And then this was so tropical and palm trees.
Well, it's always the house or the hotels over the water too.
Yes, over water bungalows. That's in Tahiti. That's where it all started, right? And so I was like, when I grow up, I'm going to go there.
Yeah, totally.
and so then I kind of was like, I can't really be a travel agent, for the whole world. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And French Polynesia was just like on my mind and I love it. And I went there and particularly for myself, the reason also why I liked it so much is because I love the tropical, but it's a combo with the French flair because it's a French protectorate. So you have the French croissants and the pain au chocolat in the morning. And, the French cuisine.
The croque monsieur. Right?
Yes. And then like with the tropical fruits and the tropical influence, and you hear French spoken, you hear Tahitian spoken.
Sure.
It's like this. It is really... It's a luxury destination. It's truly paradise. It really doesn't get a lot of visitors compared to Hawaii.
How much time do you need? Because that's a big travel, right? I mean, like to get there and back?
It's actually not that big of a travel time. You would just get on a plane in San Francisco or LA and or now also Seattle. It's 7.5 hours in the air.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
And you don't cross the date line. So that's a plus.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize that. I thought
it's on the same.
Way farther.
No, it's really not, and it's on the same time zone as Hawaii.
Oh, that's cool. So 5 hours from here.
It's really I think it's now 3 hours or something, depending on what time of the year.
Whole daylight savings thing.
Yes, that we don't participate in.
Right.
So
that's neat. I didn't know it was that cool.
And so there's so many different islands. I think people can go for a week.
Sure. Okay.
You fly into Tahiti, which is the main island, and then you can go to different islands. Of course, everyone is in love with Bora Bora.
Yeah.
That's what's on every,
That's the picture.
Every picture and social media. But there's different islands you can go to.
Sure.
You can easily, take a ferry from Tahiti and go to Moorea. I love Moorea.
Mm-hmm.
It's similar to Bora Bora. It's small. I mean, it's so nice. Or you can get on a cruise we went on the Paul Gauguin cruise, which is an all-inclusive cruise.
I heard that it's amazing ships, right?
It's amazing. The service is just so personalized. Sure. I'm going to confession, I'm not really a cruiser myself.
Uh-huh.
But when I went on that cruise and the night before we got off, I cried. Like I literally didn't want to get off the ship.
Totally.
And we still talk about it now.
Right.
And then you get to see different islands every day. And amazing food.
Yeah.
So I would say that a week, you can do it in a week. You cannot go to every, but the experience.
But that's enough time. Yeah.
Yes, because also it's really, truly a destination to unwind, disconnect from the world. You go to these islands and it's islands. Yeah. And there's really I'm going to the shopping mall.
Yeah,
they don't have, on Tahiti, they have shopping. But really, it's so small. It's overwater bungalows. It's beach bungalows with your own pool. Yeah. It's to connect with your loved one, just to disconnect and enjoy the natural beauty and the water sports, right? Water activities.
Get in the water all the time.
Yes.
Totally.
So, there's no, let's go clubbing at night.
Right.
Because it's
just a laid back island vibe.
Yeah. And so I think a week is enough because everyone kind of gets used to this stuff, right? I wouldn't spend 3 weeks there. I don't think it's needed.
Sure.
So
well, it's funny because I'll tell anybody that's going to Asia, you don't do a week, right? It's just not enough time.
Right.
Because you're a day traveling there and you're day traveling back, and somehow somewhere you lose a day somewhere. It's like I don't know how that whole thing. I know it's a day international day line. I'm not a moron, but it's just funny because you'll be there and it's Thursday, and back here in the States it's Wednesday, and it's just like what's going on here?
Yes,
that's a place where you need more time.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So give us a favorite story of yours. Where's a place that you've traveled to that you didn't expect it to be amazing, that was just mind blowing?
I think, when they asked me what was your favorite travel or, I kind of have two, but one is Oaxaca in Mexico.
Okay.
I went by myself to Oaxaca, and it's kind of like the culinary capital of Mexico.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And I went by myself, and I remember, just dropping off my bag at the hotel and then going to the Zocalo, like the central area there. And I just was sitting there by myself looking at people, and there was like these little girls, playing with balloons, and they came to sit next to me, and they asked, "Oh, you're alone?" And they just were talking to me. It was so cute, and I love that place for the food.
Yeah.
It was just so relaxing, and I had a whole day cooking class. We went to the market in the morning, and then I was by myself. I joined another group of people, and these were all young, like 20-year-olds who had just done the Peace Corps in South America, Central and South America. And so they had all these great stories, and we cooked, and then we drank a lot of mezcal, and tequila. So, that makes things better. And it was like one of those days was like a perfect day.
Yeah. Love it.
So, I really love that. And then
so that's kind of an off the beaten path choice, right? Is it because I've been to Mexico a lot and I've never heard of the city ever.
Everyone goes to Cancun or
Puerto Vallarta,
but Oaxaca, I loved it. Yeah. I mean, I want to go back actually. Sure. And so Oaxaca is also a province, and then I took a little plane to go to the beach area. And it was lovely. Yeah, I mean, I just loved it. I love Mexico in general, but Oaxaca was really that was a travel day in my life that will always be with me. And then the other destination, which I think is just, mind-blowing, is the Galapagos Islands.
Oh, wow. That would be crazy.
I mean, I went...
But so you can't stay on the Galapagos Islands, can you?
Well, so I haven't been in many years, and I think now it has changed a little bit. Okay. I think there's maybe one or two islands that you can actually stay. But I would have to research that, so don't put that,
Yeah. Don't
put it in writing.
We'll call you. We'll call you. Double check on it.
Because I feel like now there's maybe an island with a hotel, but you would do a cruise because you want to go to all the different islands. And I was this is many years ago when, I was very young. And we did a different island every day.
Right.
And you literally you trip almost over the animals.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They don't get out of the way. You could potentially just pick up a bird and put it in your bag.
You just don't know, right?
It was mind-blowing, just simply mind-blowing. I mean, it was so amazing. And then once you get back to Ecuador, to the mainland, and the birds are suddenly flying away and I'm like, what's going on here? Right. I mean, it was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's such a unique place in the world.
Right.
I mean,
yeah. What
amazing.
A killer one. I love that. So travel just came for you from a young age, huh? And so you're living the dream. I mean, you're actually doing what you love to do and working in what you love to do.
Exactly. I mean, I guess being from Belgium, it's not hard to travel because Belgium is like a postage stamp, right? In 3 hours, you can cross the whole country. So whenever, we wanted to go somewhere, we get in the car, you drive a little bit, and you're already in another country, right? You know how it is in Europe. I mean, everything is, connected and pretty small compared to the US. So, and I also then, when I was a college kid, I lived in Finland for 6 months.
Okay, cool.
So that was an experience, I mean, I've been to many places. I've been very blessed and lucky, but I've always prioritized travel, right? Yep. I'm in general, because a lot of people say, how do you afford travel? It's expensive. I think you can still do budget travel, and you can still save money. I think you need to prioritize it and save up for it,
and make it real, make it special.
And make it happen. Yeah. And I tend to save on, I do a lot of secondhand shopping. Sure. You don't see me in a lot of stores,
Right.
I just don't spend a lot of money in stores,
Totally.
So, I cook a lot at home.
Yeah.
Even though
so
I love eating out,
Yeah.
I love eating out, but we tend to just cook at home and, try to save our money that way.
Prioritize it. Yeah, 100%. So give us all your details. I mean, how do people get a hold of you? Where do they find you? Yep. Websites, Facebook, Instagram, what's all that stuff?
So I have a website called www.dailytraveldose.com. Yep. I know it's maybe a little bit complicated. Maybe I have to change it, but it's Daily Travel Dose.
Sure.
And then my Instagram is Daily Travel Dose LLC.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that's, of course, how this goes on Instagram. There's a lot of fake accounts. I put Daily Travel Dose LLC.
Sure.
My picture will be there with some palm trees so you can identify me. On Facebook, I'm Daily Travel Dose.
Sure.
There may be actually another account with that name. So we have to always be careful with social media these
days. Make sure who you're dealing
with.
But
my phone number is 973-747-6595.
Cool. And we'll put all that in the details as well. Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent.
And in case anyone is wondering, yes, that is a New Jersey phone number. I moved here from New Jersey.
I love it. So this is Ann Bishop, Daily Travel Dose. Thank you so much for being here today. Anything you want to leave us with? Any tips or ideas or anything else you want to share?
Well, actually, I do have a giveaway.
Oh, that's right. We're doing a $250 giveaway to the Hilton.
Yes.
I love
that.
So
I have a $250 gift certificate for Hilton.
Sure.
And so that can be used not just for overnight stay, but also if you wanted to, spend money there for food or the spa. It's just a Hilton gift certificate. And so I'm going to give that away to someone who sends me an email to info@dailytraveldose.com. And they send me an email and they say, I saw you on the Scottsdale Living podcast.
Yep.
And at the end of January the 30th, is it 31 or 30 days.
I think 31.
31 days, right? Yeah. So on the 31st of January, I will announce it. And the only caveat is that they meet with me in person, to get their gift certificates. But, everyone can just send me an email, and hopefully, the winner will enjoy a nice stay at the Hilton.
I love it. There you go, guys. So watch a killer podcast, learn about travel, talk to Anne from the Daily Travel Dose, and you got a chance to win $250 to hang out at the Hilton.
Yep.
Thank you so much for being here. We
Thanks,
appreciate
John.
you. Absolutely.
Yep.